Good rainy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for being here. And go ahead and grab a Bible, if you will, and turn to the book of Ephesians, Ephesians chapter 4. I want to address an issue this evening that I think is timely and appropriate for the season we are headed into. There's a lot of ways to ruin Thanksgiving and Christmas, the holiday seasons. I don't know if you know or not, but Butterball Turkey Company has a hotline that they man, and for turkey disasters and turkey questions. And a couple of things I've read that came in. One lady called in to complain that her turkey it didn't have any breast meat, and come to find out she had her turkey upside down. And one man called in on how I'm guessing this guy might from been from around here maybe called in and wanted to know how to about carving his turkey with his chainsaw, and he was worried about the chainsaw oil affecting the taste of the turkey. Lady from Kentucky called in, wanted to know how to get her chihuahua out of the cavity of the turkey. And the new bride that she was worried that about in her small apartment, in her small oven, that if she cooked her turkey in that small oven, that it would get bigger as it cooked, and she wouldn't be able to get it out of the oven because bread rises. So I guess she thought turkeys do too. And then my favorite one is the one who called in to find out how long to cook her turkey. And when they asked her how much her turkey weighs, she told them she didn't know because it was still running around the yard. So there's lots of ways to ruin the holidays. And one of the most common ways that I know of is anger. There will be a lot of empty seats at the holidays this year because somebody's angry with somebody else in the family, and so they don't show up for the family gatherings. And there's other type events where anger is a major issue, not just in the holidays, in the workplace, and other places. And so tonight, I want to take and I want to look at some words Paul gave us and address this issue of our anger. And how do we attack anger? What do we do about anger? And the first thing I want to tell you that we do about anger is, I think, very important for a lot of people. If you look with me in verse 26, Paul says, "Be angry and sin not." And so the first thing I want to do this evening is give you permission to be angry. Paul does. Paul says, be angry and sin not. He doesn't say don't be angry, but he says be angry and sin not. In other words, what Paul is saying is there is a right way and a wrong way to be angry. And so the issue is not that if you're angry, the issue is what you do with that anger. If that anger causes you to lash out, to be violent, if that anger causes you to gossip, to lie, to slander, then that anger is wrong. You're handling it incorrectly. But there is a time to be angry. Anger is a defense mechanism that God gave us. Someone breaks in your house, it's right to get angry and to bow up and defend your home. Someone attacks your family, it's breaks into your home or bothers your children, then it's right to get angry and to bow up and to defend your family. And so Paul tells us it's okay to be angry. And some folks, that's the number one thing they need to know about anger. They've tried to suppress it and hide it, and they keep it bottled up, and they're going to end up having a stroke or something because they've bottled it up. But Paul says it is okay to be angry. It's all right to have anger, but it's a matter of handling it correctly. Be angry and sin not. So he gives us in his word permission to be angry. Again, I believe anger is an emotion that God gave us. It is part of our defense mechanism when we're attacked, to get angry and to defend ourselves. And so it's not wrong to be angry. It's wrong what we do with that anger. And so the first thing we see in this passage is to be angry, but sin not. We have permission to be angry, but we don't have permission to allow that anger to control us. We don't have permission for that anger to cause us to lie, to gossip, to slander, those type of things. And the second thing that we see about that anger, while we have permission to be angry, that there is a pattern he gives us for how to handle that anger. He says, be angry and sin not, let not the sun go down on your wrath. Now, what some people do and believe that means is that you should handle your anger in the day that it happens. And that's not a bad practice when feasible. But say this time of year, when especially after this weekend when we turn the clocks back and it starts getting early, 5 minutes after lunch. Somebody makes you angry at 4:45 in the evening, then you've only got 15 minutes before the sun goes down to deal with it. And so, any time of year that could happen. It just and so I think that's not exactly the spirit in which Paul was writing. What I think Paul was saying is that period of time. For example, some people that are listening to me and others out there are carrying anger that they've carried since their childhood. They're still angry with their parents. Some are carrying anger from a previous marriage or some other time in your life, your previous employer. But we carry that anger and carry it with us. And Paul's saying that's not correct either when he says, be angry and sin not. And one of the things that I think we do with sin is that we allow it, or with anger, is we allow it to go on and on and on, and we carry it with us. And that anger gnaws at us and eats at us over a lengthy period of time. And so he says that anger should be addressed and should be dealt with. Certainly, if we could deal with it in the day it happened, that would be great, but be healthy for all of us. But sometimes, again, that's just not even feasible. If you're angry with me and you realize it at about 11:30 at night, it's all right with me if you wait till tomorrow to deal with it. And I'm pretty sure God is too, because it'd probably make me angry if you call me at 11:30 at night. So, so we, I think we look at that within reason. Again, that he's talking about in that time period that we don't drag it out and allow it to just continually to eat and to gnaw at us. And then we come from, not only do we have permission to be angry and a pattern for anger, but then we have the potential of anger. And here's the real issue is when he says in verse 27 that we shouldn't give place to the devil. And we know that that's what anger is. The problem is that it isn't that you get angry or when you get angry, but that when we get angry, we give the devil an opportunity. When we're angry, we will lie, we'll slander, we'll gossip, and anger has led to murder, even, and we all know that. We see that on television, on the news, all too often. That anger gives ground to so many other sin, so much other sin that Paul says don't give it place. That's the potential of anger. Probably you've maybe experienced that when we're angry at someone, it affects us in so many ways. Again, there will be people here and over the next few months who won't gather with the rest of their family because they're mad at one person or a couple of people. Some people won't go to certain stores, won't go to certain places because they might run in to that person that they're angry with. They won't do things. It just affects their life. And when we get angry, what the problem is when we get angry, the root feeling of it is that we feel like someone took something from us. If they say something about us, then we feel like they took from the root is we feel like they took from our character, or maybe they literally took from us. But when they take from us, then we feel like they owe us. They owe us something back. And so what happens is when we get angry and we hang on to that anger, we tend to forget really, and I know we joke about this, that those two have been feuding so long they forgot what they were mad about. They're mad at each other because their grandparents were mad. That I know we joke about that, but the truth is, we don't actually forget. I know, but the anger kind of moves from what the original event was, to we know that someone owes us. That person, it's not so much about what and I use say they stole a screwdriver. I'm just making something up. It over time, when we hold that and we let the sun sit on that anger, what happens is we're no longer angry really about the missing screwdriver. We're just angry. We're angry have you ever said something like this? What's the principle of the thing? And so we move beyond the actual original event, and we just feed that anger in general. They take that. We'll just stick with the screwdriver analogy. They steal a screwdriver from us, and we get angry. And then after that, we see them, and their voice just makes me mad. Their voice doesn't make you mad. You're just, again, it goes back, and the devil just takes that and stews that and causes it to turn into something that affects us spiritually, and that's the real danger that we have to be aware of. Is not certainly there's physical damage. The medical profession has shown that. And proven that to us, that dealt with anger affects us physically in so many ways. But more importantly, Paul points out that it affects us in a spiritual manner, that it hurts us. It gives the devil place in our life and causes us to have other sin creep in and affect our life spiritually. And so that's and most of this is things that we all know. We just need to be reminded of it. So let's get to the real meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about tonight, and that is then the purging of anger. What do we do about anger? How do we deal with it? And I know, I'm sure there's probably some folks watching tonight who would say, "Oh, Jimmy, you just don't know what I'm angry about. You just don't know what they did to me. You just don't know how bad I've been hurt. You just don't know." You're right, I don't. But let me tell you what Paul says. Look in verse 31. "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice." You know what Paul says? Paul says, let the anger be put away. What's he saying? Get rid of it. Paul says, get rid of it. Don't hold on to it. Get rid of it. And it's important to understand that getting rid of the anger is more important than getting to the bottom of the anger. A lot of people want to solve it. They want to resolve it. They haven't asked me to apologize, or they haven't apologized. They haven't given back what they've taken. Whatever. Well, what Paul said, you notice Paul doesn't say figure it out. He says get rid of it. Just like he gives us pretty simple, straightforward permission to be angry, he also gives us the answer to it when he says get rid of it. You just don't hang on to it. When we get done here, and only when we get done here, YouTube, Google, Bob Newhart, don't do that. And it's a video clip back from years ago, the Bob Newhart show, when he portrayed a psychiatrist, and the lady is sitting there and she starts telling him something that's going. He says, "Well, don't do that." And she tells her, he says, "Well, don't do that." And it's hilarious. I promise you, it's worth your time on Google. But don't do that. Well, that's what Paul is saying about anger. Just don't do that. Just let it go. You can't fix it. If they did come apologize, is that really going to change it? Is it really going to take back what they said? If you get in a time machine, is it You know, and so Paul just says to get rid of it. And so a couple of steps for us is figure out, nail down who it is, what is it that made me angry? What is the specific thing that made me angry? You got to figure it out. Some people, honestly, again, as I said earlier, they've been angry so long they've forgotten the original source. They just know they're angry. Figure out what it is that made me angry. What was it that they did? What did they take from me? Did they take my pride? Did they take my care? What did they take from me? Once, because you can't fix it to you can't do it till you know what it is. You know what it is, well then you get rid of it. Just turn it loose. And listen, I know that's far easier for me to say than it is for me to do. I know that. But that's exactly what Paul says. The Bible tells us I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengtheneth me. You can get rid of it. You can turn it loose. One of my favorite stories about forgiveness, and some of you have heard me tell this before, but I just think it's such a beautiful story. Years ago, my first bread route I ever ran was out in Faith. There was a little store out there, McCombs and Company. Some of you may know, a little independent grocery store, famous for their pimento cheese. And Mr. McCombs, the old Mr. McCombs, the story goes that during the Depression, people would come in, as you can imagine, and have no money. And they would say, Mr. McCombs, can we charge this? And he'd put it on their book. Just put it on their books. Keep writing tickets. And one day, the story goes that he came in and he went over and got his box where all those tickets were, where everybody pretty much in probably southern Rowan County owed him money, or eastern Rowan County. And he walked over and he took that box of tickets and he walked over. Somebody asked him what he was doing, and he dumped them in the trash can. And they were amazed. What are you doing? And he says, "We made it through this, and we're not going to hold this over their head. We're going to start fresh." Well, that's exactly what Paul is saying for us to do. Paul is saying for us to throw the tickets in the trash can and move on. You say, "I don't know if I can do that." Well, that's exactly what Jesus Christ did for you if you've been saved. He forgave you. And so we forgive because and like we have been forgiven. And so I know it's not easy. It wasn't easy for Jesus to hang on that cross, but he did so that you and I could be forgiven. And so the real question for us today is, how long are we going to hang on to that anger? Are we going to continue to allow it to control us? Are we going to continue to allow it to eat at us? Dr. James Merritt makes a statement. I don't know if he was the original, but it's who I heard it from. Made the statement that bitterness is the one thing, the only thing, that does more damage to the vessel it's held in than to what it's poured on. You think about that. Bitterness, anger, does more damage to the vessel it's held in than to one that it's poured on. The maddest I've ever been at somebody, when I finally got convicted of it and I went and apologized to them, they said, "I didn't even know you were mad." Many times the anger that is so controlling our life is only affecting us. It's only hurting you. And so Paul tells us the simplest and the best thing to do, the spiritual thing to do, the scriptural thing to do, is to get rid of it. Just simply to turn it loose, to let it go, and to let it go away. Just don't deal with it anymore. I hope that helps you, not just in the holidays and in your family, but in every day, because this is a spiritual battle. It is a very real spiritual battle. Paul says, don't give place to the devil by giving place to anger. And that's exactly what we do when we hang on to that anger long after the sun has set. All right, have a great Wednesday. Remember, go vote. It's important for you to vote. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you this. You vote like a baby's life depends on it. I will tell you, I will not, under any circumstance, vote for a person who is pro-abortion. If they don't care about the unborn, they're not fit to govern the living. And so whatever you want to take from that, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'll tell you this, I wouldn't vote for a human being to be dog catcher if he was pro or she was pro-abortion. And so if you haven't voted, vote. If you voted, vote again. I'm just kidding. You know the old saying, vote early, vote often. I told a lady this week, she called doing one of those surveys. She says, do you plan on voting this year? And I said several times, and she didn't flinch at that. But then when she asked me, how was I going to vote, in person or by mail, I told her both. And she started telling me how that was, you can't do that. And I said, well, all my friends is doing it, so I think I'll try it. So, but just kidding. But do vote. Get your vote in. Let your voice be heard. And so still got early voting left, and then next Tuesday. All right. Most of all, pray. Pray for our nation. That's we go through this time. All right. Hope that helps you deal with your anger. Hope that encourages you to go vote. Have a great day. Great rest of your day. Great rest of your week.